Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today we are going to celebrate the 10 took something out, and I wanted to do something for him and I didn't really know. It's almost like a tradition at this point that anything he takes out, I'm like, I'm gonna do a video for him. So here we are. And this video is gonna be very simple, just trying to figure out how he's doing right now and how the comeback is going to pan out. So to start off, how is Tin feeling right now with his comeback? We have cleanse and frustration. They will seem like opposites, but the cleanse tells me that right now he feels, or he's trying to stay cool, he's trying to stay relaxed, he's trying to not let any disturbance or any hiccup or distraction or anything get in the way of his comeback. The frustration card tells me that things are just not really going as planned, or his schedule is either very packed and things that he wants to do are just not really going through. The frustration card shows like this rectangular prism, and then we have this hole that is in like the wrong shape, right? So that makes me think that he feels frustrated that things that were not meant to happen are happening, or maybe the company is trying to force something to happen and it's not going through, and in his eyes it's like, of course it's not, because it's not meant to be, or there's something going on that to him it's very obvious it's not meant to happen, but maybe there's external energies that are trying to influence him to do otherwise, and that could be very frustrating for him. Or on the other hand, he feels like there's something that he wants to do but it's not the right time, or it's not fitting to the image concept or something, so that it just doesn't fit. It's like something is the wrong vibe or the wrong energy, or maybe, as I mentioned earlier, if it's the wrong timing, then maybe there's something that he wants to do but maybe his schedule is packed, or maybe there's a program that he wanted to go to but timings are not aligned, and because of that he can like attend to that program or something like that. But the cleanse card here tells me that despite all the frustration, despite things not going as planned, or maybe things not working out as he expected it, the cleanse card shows that he's trying to stay afloat despite all of this mess. He's trying to rise, he's trying to stay cleansed, and trying to make sure that those frustrations don't actually influence how he feels about things. So even though it is normal for him to not feel like at 100, or to not feel that things came out exactly as he had planned them, at least he's trying his best to make sure that that energy doesn't affect his mentality or his emotions or his view on the comeback. So that cleansing energy shows that he is trying his best to overcome all these problems as well. So he's trying to make sure that if something's not working, that he can try to figure out a solution for it, or try to change his mentality so it doesn't actually affect the way that he feels about his comeback. So there's something here that he's not really happy. I just don't really know where that frustration is coming from, because I feel that it could also be like a lot of things happening at once that could make it be super overwhelming, and maybe that's why the energy is not super concrete and I guess focused enough for me to tell you it feels like it's this. There could be just a lot of energy moving around. But let's go on to the second part of this, sure, which is how will his comeback do? That was a weird phrasing, but let's see how that works. You know what? I'll take the bottom of the deck. There's plenty of room. I say that and then I don't know where I'm going to put this. The Queen of Crystals is the equivalent to the Queen of Pentacles. We have the Five of Acorns reverse, or the Five of Wands. We have the Emperor, which is Aries energy. By the way, the Queen of Crystals is Taurus energy. We have the Knight of Acorns reverse, or the Knight of Wands reverse. That's Sagittarius energy. And lastly, we have the Five of Shells, which is the Five of Cups. That's a firefly. I'm laughing because when I was editing the video that went up recently, which was what type of girlfriend will Chaewon be like, I was like so confused when I saw an animal because I was like, that's a dragonfly, a moth, or something like that. But I said firefly too. And then I was like, wait, that's not what a firefly looks like. So here's one. Anyway, so how will his album do? Seems like he's going to create strong connections with people that could be within the industry, because we have the Queen of Crystals, the Emperor, and the Knight of Acorns. So that makes me think of people. Usually I read them just as energies, but this time it does feel like it's people. With the Queen of Crystals, we have comfort and prosperity. So he could be one of these people that I'm going to be talking about, or it could be, of course, people that are not him. But the Queen of Crystals will describe someone that is very caring, caring and compassionate came through, even though, yes, that is the Queen of Crystals. I see that more as like the court cards for cups. Anyway, but the Queen of Crystals is also someone that they're doing very well for themselves in their career, and because of that, they're able to share their abundance with other people, support them maybe monetarily or with gifts and with their own support. And that makes me think that with this comeback, one of the things that Ten is going to notice is that there's a lot of people out there that support him, that like him, that want to be with him and want to see him succeed. So he's going to feel supported. He's going to feel that he's being taken care of, or that if he ever needs someone, there are people out there that will look out for him. And the comfort and prosperity shows that even if things don't go as planned, or because of how he feels, even if things don't go as planned and things may be a bit frustrating for him, or he may feel overwhelmed, he's going to notice that there's people out there that give him a lot of comfort and that help him relax, that help him feel safe and supported. And this sense of safety that I'm getting is one where he can allow his mind to be cleansed, or allow his mind to not go into overthinking mode of how should I solve this issue, and then he starts thinking and thinking to a point that it's exhausting for him. So I do feel that the Queen of Crystals could be embodied by someone, or someone will help him notice that there is a space that he can make, or that he can be in, to feel comfortable. But yeah, if it's fans, then he's just going to notice that there's a lot of people that support him both monetarily, so through money, but also support him with very kind words of reassurance. Now, the Five of Acorns reversed shows that he doesn't feel this comeback is not going to be one where he feels the need to be competitive. There is a sense where he just wants to work. He just wants to put stuff out there. So he doesn't really feel influenced by numbers, or he doesn't really weight too heavily on, I was gonna say on streams, but he whatever looks good for business, that's not something he's been focusing on, or something that he's not willing to stress over. And the reason why that is because in his present moment, there's other stuff that is a bit more frustrating than the results of his comeback. There is a sense of I have a feeling that he's unsatisfied with his schedule. Maybe there's stuff that he wanted to do, and he just feels frustrated that through this comeback he can't go through with those things. So again, maybe he's very busy, or maybe he worked very hard to take this comeback out, but the company is okay, yeah, but you can't really promote it because there's other stuff that we have planned for you, or something along those lines. So maybe that is frustrating for him, as we saw earlier. And if that's the case, that could also explain why he doesn't feel super competitive with this comeback. It's he just wants to take something out, and this Five of Acorns reverse shows that he's not. I guess one of the things that he will learn through this comeback is that he doesn't want to argue with people, he doesn't want to fight with people, and he doesn't necessarily feel his competition is the same as other people. I feel that he's going to very quickly figure out what his purpose is. With the other cards that we see here, with the Emperor, the Knight of Acorns, and the Queen of Crystals, there is this feeling that he's going to start noticing what his priorities are or what matters to him. And I feel that numbers is not one of them. And I think he's going to start noticing in this comeback is knowing what's within his control and enjoying that part of things. Because I think he just really enjoys performing. And I'm thinking of that because of the Emperor here. Someone that feels like on the top of things. They take action when they feel it's a good time to take action. But most of the time they're pretty relaxed. So yes, it makes me think that he is in this Emperor energy. Here we have focus and stability, which is pretty accurate. There is one deck that shows the Emperor meditating. And most of the time the Emperor is just shown sitting down, looking forward, quite menacing. And in a way is showing someone that is ready to take action when things have like settled down. But the Emperor is usually observing, calculating, creating the strategy or a plan that best fits what he wants to do. So for 10, it kind of feels like in this comeback he's going to start realigning his priorities, figuring out what matters to him and what's within his control so that he can focus on that and maintain that stability and comfort rather than being influenced by maybe the things that don't go as planned, or maybe focusing on how other people's influence can get to him. Again, I'm just thinking of maybe the company messing up with his schedule in a way where he's not satisfied. Like there's places that he wanted to go or things that he wanted to do that the company just like completely ignored or did not plan accordingly, and because of that he missed opportunities that he wanted to take advantage of, right? So I don't know what it is, but there's something that he's very like frustrated or angry about. So the Emperor tells me that in this comeback he's going to figure out how to avoid that from happening again. So maybe one of the ways that he can solve this is by being a bit more assertive, and instead of allowing everything to be handled by other people, take a little bit more of the initiative of saying, okay, let's focus on this one thing, so like that I can actually do the stuff that I want to do, instead of giving you options and then you guys not really taking the care to go through with it or something along those lines. The Emperor is Aries energy, so that makes me think of one of the things that he's going to learn is to follow his instincts and to be a bit more impulsive. Again, not necessarily reckless. The Emperor is supposed to be a pretty good energy. It's not immature or anything, but the Emperor is also talking about rules. So that makes me think that he's going to learn with this comeback what the conventions are and what the rules are. And by learning that, he will know when to break those rules and when to follow them. And what I mean break those rules is like, when does he take the liberty to be a bit rebellious and say, no, this is what's going to happen, like kind of put his foot down and fight for something, and when to kind of step back and be like, you know what, this is not worth arguing over, this is not worth getting angry about and stuff like that, right? So I think that not only will he prioritize his goals and learn like what's important to him, he's also going to learn how to pick his battles. He's going to learn when to kind of step forward and argue for what he wants, and then when to take a step back and see, this is not worth fighting for, this is not worth the mental stress or something along those lines. The other card that we have here is the Knight of Acorns reverse. So that's Sagittarius energy. Tells me that one of the things that he's focusing on in this comeback is how to stay optimistic. He's going to be focusing on moving forward and taking action, not from a reckless place, of course, but from a place where he will feel like he's reaching those far-fetched goals, where he feels like he can challenge life, but not from a place of anger, but from a place of expansion and being optimistic. There is a sense of like he wants to move forward, he wants to be persistent, not necessarily stubborn. He doesn't want to be reckless, but be a risk taker. Those kinds of things. Like I think in this comeback, he's going to learn how to discern the difference between moving forward with a negative mentality and moving forward with a positive one. There is a sense that if you move forward with a positive mentality, it doesn't mean that everything's easy, it doesn't mean that everything works, it doesn't mean that challenges will not happen. It just means that he will move forward with a mentality that motivates him to go through all of those obstacles in a way that it doesn't damage him or his mental state. Now, I'm saying it like that because if you move forward with a negative mentality, it can be a lot more challenging to go through all those problems, but it could also make it that he's like forcing himself to move forward when maybe he just needs to rest, or he will push himself to move forward and maybe not pay attention to his surroundings because he's kind of desperate to get something done. So I do feel that the Knight of Acorns reverse is here because he is learning how to bring that energy into balance, trying to stay more optimistic, learning how to expand, and being able to discern the difference between a good energy and a bad energy. Again, good and bad, it goes beyond the superficial of what works or what doesn't work. It goes beyond the thing of like what people approve of or what they don't approve of. This is very personal to him in the sense of like what works for him, what doesn't work for him. Learning to pace himself accordingly, learning to push himself out of his comfort zone, enough to challenge himself, but not enough to like reach a breaking point, if that makes sense. So it's this sense of balance, which is kind of making me think of the Temperance card. Okay, lastly we have the Five of Shells, or the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups is the energy of someone that is kind of like in a negative mentality, someone that is focusing more on the things that don't work rather than the things that do. But with this Firefly here, it makes me think of someone, we have hope and readjustment. So yeah, it makes me feel of something a bit more positive. So the Five of Shells here feels like someone that is looking at the things that don't work and the things that are a bit more negative, like someone that's focusing on things that are not good or nice in order to learn from them and become a learning experience. So I think in this comeback, even if it's not something Ten wanted or expected, because things just didn't work out how he had planned or how he had expected, it's going to be a very healing experience for him. The Five of Shells with this Firefly makes me think of a guiding light. It makes me think of alignment and maybe even epiphanies. So there's this sense of like he's going to see everything that didn't work and all the things that he kind of hated from this comeback. Again, it feels like it's more about the scheduling and promotion part of things that's gonna anger him, and he's going to learn why things didn't work out, where he could have been a bit more assertive and stuff along those lines. So this Five of Shells just feels very hopeful and optimistic in the sense of like he's going to look at everything that didn't work and figure out solutions to them, and also release anything, or how I say it's like surrender to spirit, this whole idea of like things that are not within his power, just let those go, so like that he doesn't carry on unnecessary frustrations. So it does feel like in this comeback he's going to learn how not to argue, how not to fight, how not to take things personal. It just came up. Learn how to be in his happy place, how to be comfortable, how to, learning to pick his battles, as we saw with the Emperor, and then with the Nine of Acorns reverse, he's going to learn how to stay balanced, basically. So, yeah, I hope you guys liked this reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It definitely feels like for Ten's comeback, at least right now that I'm reading it, it feels like he's not very happy with how things are going behind the scenes. I do feel that this has a lot to do with timing and people. So this has nothing to do with numbers. This has nothing to do with how the comeback was perceived or anything like that. This has everything to do with scheduling, though. Again, something that didn't go as planned with the frustration card. And as I talked about earlier, all this energy, it feels like there is people here that will help him realize how to stay balanced, how to come into his power, and how to be comfortable, safe, and secure. So even you notice how when I started with the Queen of Crystals, I was like, this could be someone. And then when I read The Emperor and the Knight of Acorns, I went back to like, this is just energy. That's kind of what I meant with, I don't really read this as people. Anyway, before I go, I just kind of wanted to mention that my favorite song in the album was Butterfly. His title track was very good though. Anyway, I'm very happy. Like, if 10 picks his songs for his albums, I am so happy that he does, because I really like what he picks sound wise. But if he doesn't, I like what they give him. So I wanted to mention that. I was like, when I record 10's video, I'm gonna mention it. So I'm glad I remember. With all of that said, I will see you guys on the next one, whenever that is, however that is. Thank you so much for watching and for all the love and support you have shown me and the channel. Make sure that you also show a lot of support for 10, and hope and pray that everything turns out well for him. Again, this doesn't seem to be too bad. I think this is just a learning experience of maybe something that was rushed, or maybe things not going as planned, and he's just gonna learn from it. Again, the Firefly shows that he will have an epiphany, or just a learning experience of like enlightenment of, this is how I should go about things, this is how I should think about things, and it's necessary for his growth. I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that is, however that is. Love and healing from my part to you, and